Switzerland, a country smaller than many American states. No oil, almost no natural resources. Yet, it's one of the richest countries on Earth. The average salary here is over $70,000 a year. Its cities constantly rank among the best places to live, and its economy is one of the strongest on the planet. Most people think they already know the answer. Swiss banks. But that's only a small part of the story. To understand why Switzerland became rich, we have to travel back hundreds of years, back to a country that looked nothing like the Switzerland we know today. Hundreds of years ago, Switzerland wasn't rich. In fact, life here was difficult. Most of the country was covered by mountains, farming was hard, building cities was expensive. And unlike many European kingdoms, Switzerland had almost no valuable natural resources. No massive gold mines, no oil, no endless farmland. On paper, Switzerland should have stayed poor forever. But sometimes, what looks like a weakness becomes your greatest advantage. And that's exactly what happened to Switzerland. Alps cover nearly 60% of Switzerland. While they make the country incredibly beautiful, they also made life extremely difficult. Farming was limited, building roads was expensive, and moving goods across the mountains took time and money. Unlike countries with vast fertile land, Switzerland couldn't rely on agriculture to become rich. It simply didn't have enough land to compete with its neighbors. So the Swiss had only one option. If they couldn't sell natural resources, they had to sell something else: their skills. Over time, Switzerland became famous for precision, watches, engineering, craftsmanship. Instead of producing more, they focused on producing better. But there was another decision, one that changed Switzerland forever. While Europe was constantly fighting wars, Switzerland chose a completely different path. For centuries, Europe was trapped in endless wars. Kingdoms fought for land, empires fought for power, entire cities were destroyed. But Switzerland made a very different choice. Instead of constantly joining conflicts, it focused on staying neutral. In 1815, after the defeat of Napoleon, the major European powers officially recognized Switzerland's permanent neutrality. It was one of the most important moments in the country's history. While much of Europe spent decades rebuilding after wars, Switzerland kept producing. It kept trading, and it kept growing. Trust is one of the most valuable things in the world. If people trust your country, they trust your businesses. They trust your laws. And most importantly, they trust you with their money. Over time, wealthy families, entrepreneurs and investors from across Europe began moving their money to Swiss banks. They believed their savings would be protected, not by luck, but by stability. As more money entered the country, banks had more capital to invest. Businesses could grow, new companies were created, innovation accelerated, and Switzerland slowly transformed into one of the world's most important financial centers. But here's what many people still don't realize: banks alone never made Switzerland rich. By the middle of the 20th century, Switzerland had already earned the world's trust. But trust alone wasn't enough to build one of the strongest economies on Earth. The country needed industries that could compete on a global scale. Instead of trying to produce millions of cheap products, Switzerland focused on something much more difficult. It focused on producing the highest quality products in the world. Take Swiss watches as an example. Brands like Rolex, Omega, and Patek Philippe aren't simply selling a way to tell time. They are selling precision, reputation, history. and craftsmanship. People don't buy these watches because they need them. They buy them because they trust the quality behind the name. That reputation took generations to build. But Switzerland is much more than luxury watches. Today, it is home to some of the biggest companies in the world. Nestle became one of the largest food companies on the planet. Roche and Novartis turned Switzerland into a global leader in medicine and pharmaceutical research. These companies invest billions into innovation every single year. Instead of competing with low prices, they compete with technology, research, and quality. And perhaps that's the biggest secret of Switzerland. It never tried to become the biggest country. It never tried to produce the most products. Instead, it focused on becoming the best. Education, engineering, science, precision. Those became the country's most valuable natural resources. So, was Switzerland's success just luck? Not at all. It wasn't gold, it wasn't oil, and it wasn't simply the banks. Switzerland spent centuries building something much more valuable, a reputation for stability, precision, quality, and trust. Every generation added another piece to that foundation. Better education, better technology, better products, better institutions. Over time, these small improvements created one of the strongest economies in the world. It didn't happen overnight. It took hundreds of years. Today, millions of people know Switzerland for luxury watches, chocolate, breathtaking mountains, and the world's most reliable banks. But behind all of that lies a much bigger story. A country with very few natural resources proved that knowledge, innovation, and trust can be even more valuable than oil or gold. Maybe that's the biggest lesson Switzerland teaches the world. The richest countries aren't always the ones with the most resources. Sometimes they're the ones that make the smartest decisions. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing. Because here at World Decoded, we'll uncover the stories that shaped our world.